So, hi guys, welcome back to the Scottish Mixed Martial Arts podcast. I'm Martin Hamilton. I'm joined today by Reece McEwan. How you doing, Reece?
I'm good, thanks very much. How are you, mate?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. So, Reece, you're kind of coming to the tail end of your fight camp now. How are you feeling? How's your mood? All good?
Yeah, everything's great. Ready, focused, confident, excited. Just ready to go and fight next Saturday.
Yeah, because before we talk about your upcoming fight, let's take a wee step back because you were scheduled to fight Dan DeWeese for the Netherlands, sorry, on April 15th. Can you just talk us through what happened with that fight?
Yeah, I just picked up a really bad staph infection about 6 days before the fight. I had a wee lump in my shin, and then that lump in my shin got infected, and yeah, the infection was horrendous, and I had to pull out the fight on the Sunday. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to fight on the 15th of April. I had to take a few weeks to recover, let the wound in my shin heal up, and then again, when I spoke to Cage Warriors and stuff about having to withdraw, they told me that there would be a card on the 1st of July, so it was a perfect turnaround time. And then I just switched my attention to recovering and then preparing for this bout.
Because for anyone that's listening that doesn't really know about staph infection, are you alright just to give us like a wee kind of brief update of what staph actually is?
Yeah, so like again, I'm not a doctor, but like in terms of like the staph infection, it's obviously maybe like a cut or an open wound that's been infected, and which is obviously like the chances of getting that are maybe quite slim in a day to day life. But from an MMA point of view, I'm in a contact sport. I'm training with people. Their sweats on me. I'm sweating. Sweats bacteria. It can infect that open wound, or maybe I go to a sauna or whatever. But yeah, it's just basically an infected area, and then like the result in my case, for instance, it left like a hole in my leg, swollen. My whole shin, my whole leg was swollen. I was on antibiotics for 10 days, and 7 of those days I was on 16 pills a day just to fight the infection. So, like I said, it left like a wee bullet wound as if I got shot in the shin. That's and I've got a wee scar now. But in terms of the infection, like it can be deadly, it can kill you. So you have to take that very, very seriously. And I always say this when I talk about the fight and withdrawing, I would never have got medically cleared. But if I threw like one kick or whatever, that blew my shin in half. Like I'm not even joking. Um, but yeah, that was a bit of an insight into my staph infection.
No,
It can, well, I can tell you, like people can die from it, turn into
yeah.
cellulitis um, or even infection so bad that you maybe need to get your leg removed or whatever. So
Because there was a famous case of that, but we, oh, Dennis Rodman, no, Dennis Rodman, that's the basketball player.
basketball player.
Uh, MMA fighter,
Kevin
spiked,
Randerman.
Kevin Randleman spiked, I spiked Fedor on his head. Like he lost like a big chunk of his skin. So
Uh-huh.
I was very glad when I seen your post and I'd seen that you were withdrawn because just kind of knowing you a wee bit as a person, I know how hard that would have been for you and the whole kind of fighter's mindset. But it's so important that you get the help with there
Yeah,
and then. You
it's
don't risk it.
withdrawing from a fight is crazy. Like I'm sitting, so at the time, I remember. So I spoke to my coaches, I spoke to my manager, and then I messaged Dean, the matchmaker, directly because I wanted them just to hear my side, like what's going on. I didn't want to hide behind a manager or hide behind a coach. So I've got a good relationship with him, and I wanted to tell him what was going on. So I phoned him, and afterwards he's like, "Right, you're out and stuff, blah blah blah." And my fiance was like, "Right, let's get you some food." I was like, "I don't feel like eating. Like I really don't at all. Like for hours, I just felt sick." And even though I've had this hole in my leg, but as a fighter, you think, could I have still fought? Right? No matter what, like your legs hanging off, and you're like, am I making this up? On 16 pills a day for 7 days, and then you can't train for like 3.5 weeks, and in the back of your head, you're like, am I? Is this really that bad? Like, but obviously it's horrendous, and you don't want to be that guy fighting to a staph infection as well. Like that's just dirty and so horrendous. Like I said, doctors been approved me, but like medically cleared me for the fight. It's just one of those ones. So you just need to deal with it. Like any bit of adversity, you just need to deal with it.
Exactly, and it will only make you stronger as a fighter because you've been through that, and you've kind of been through the whole experience, and you're only going to get better for that. And the last thing you want to do before stepping into a cage fight is being on antibiotics for 6 days, because antibiotics completely like destroy your system, and like you're fighting at the highest level in Europe, so the guys you're fighting are like the cream of the crop. And I know you're never 100% getting into a fight. I know you've got niggles here and there, wear and tear, but like stuff like that, like viral infections like that can impact your cardiovascular endurance and stuff like that. Like it's not really worth the risk. And it was good to see that Dan was still able to get a match, like he get matched up with Nathan Fletcher.
Yeah, not exactly. And see, at the end of the day, like that's a training camp banked. Like win, lose or draw, it's a training camp banked. I don't mind. Obviously, it's going to hurt, but I don't mind being losing because for whatever reason. But I can't go in there. I'll go into a fight compromised, no problem at all. Like, and I have done that in the past. But you can't go in there when you're going to show literally a fraction of yourself. That's a fight. Isn't me just turning up for it. My fight is me to show everybody how good I am. I've got a hole in my leg, so that's not really going to happen, is it?
Did you watch the Dan and Nathan Fletcher fight? What was your
Yeah, I was
thoughts on
cage
that?
side for it.
Oh,
I was
sorry,
cage side.
sorry.
Yeah, I was cage side. Yeah, it was a good fight.
Yeah. No, so like part of your kind of training camp at the moment is the now, as well as working with the Grit Pals and the guys over at Inverclyde Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. You're training a lot down at Shore MMA. How's all that going for you? Because you're getting a real high level training partners round about your weight as well. Because you've got like Jack Shore's down there, Brett Johns is down there, Rory Evans, who's fighting on Cage Warriors next
Hmm.
week as well. He's there.
Yeah,
So what's that experience been like for you?
yeah, it's obviously incredible. They've got a top team of coaches, a top team of training partners at all levels: UFC, Bellator, PFL, Cage Warriors, like top amateurs coming up. They've got a mat full of great people to learn from and train with. And I think the biggest thing for me is environment that they've got there as well. Like I've been down 8 times in the last year, and it's no like after my first day there, I was or first week to be fair, but more so the first day, I was an absolute bag of nerves because when you train somewhere new, you don't really know like what to do. You feel you're so out your comfort zone. You don't want to be that guy that maybe comes in and cracks somebody, right? And then you're never welcome there again, or you just don't know how to act. It's just a very nerve wracking experience, and they were all incredible with me. They all picked up on how nervous I was. They were amazing. And after my first night there last year, I said this place is a place for me. Like the environment was just so similar to the environments that I've been raised in back home, and I say it's like a home from home, but it's because when I go there, I feel like the environment is just incredible and it's topped off with the high level training. But they're obviously an amazing part of my fight camp preparations, and I love going down, and I hope they love having me down as well.
No, no, I'm sure they do, and you're seeing the kind of fruits of what Richard is doing down there. Like, because when it was the Four Nations tournament, the last Four Nations tournament, sorry, they were very successful across every
Hmm.
weight class, and
Hmm.
they were putting in some great performances, and that's what you get to learn. You get to learn from a mastermind like Richard Shore. I know you work with Dean Riley, who's also a mastermind. You've got Guy Ramsey, who's phenomenal in the world of Muay Thai, Ian Gilmartin, but having that, who's a great Brazilian Jiu Jitsu coach, but having that other kind of high level knowledge must be so valuable for you, like just to extract maybe a couple of pieces here and there for his style that's maybe different to what you're doing at home.
Yeah, of course. And one thing that obviously freshens up being back home as well. When you go home, you're excited to go home, and it's a different environment. And like with the guys at SMA, like Richard Shore and Caro, and they for context, like I'm in Cage Warriors and I want to be the bantamweight champion and then go to the UFC. They've already done that with Jack Shore. They've like Brett Johns has won a Cage Warriors world title, went to the UFC, fought for Bellator. Like these guys have literally been there. They've been cornering the UFC for the last 7, 8 years. There won't be a gym in Europe for my weight class better than that. And you obviously do see the guys like Brett and Jack, and that's who you will like see. But if you go up to their like academy shows, like their amateur shows, they've got 14 amateurs out at a time, and win
Yeah,
lose or draw, but they've got 14 amateurs out, and they've still got like I remember their whole amateur team wasn't basically was preparing for the fights at the weekend. I think I had like 5 5s with like Jack Shaw, Rory Evans, Scott Pedersen, Brett Jones, Josh Reed. You know what I mean? You're like, like give me an easy round. You just don't get them, and it's good. Like it's good for me as well to go down and isolate myself away and train and just focus on work and focus on training and soak in all the experiences, the learning and everything that they've got to offer. And then I go home and I pick up some training ideas and I always give myself some homework for the next trip. And yeah, it's very good.
No, and I really like what you were talking about there, like just kind of going away, getting to work on the training, and kind of getting away for any distractions that
Uh-huh.
life has. And it's not always negative distractions. Like
No.
distractions can always kind of be positive as well. But just to kind of get in that zone, like you're seeing more and more fighters across Scotland doing it. Like Chris Duncan goes over to America.
Mhm.
Uh, Stevie Ray kind of locks himself in higher level, like just to get in that mindset, which you need to be in
Yeah.
to go into a cage fight.
Yeah, no, definitely as well. When a fight approaches, like we're 7 8 days out, and I say this all the time. I can feel myself changing a wee bit. Like I can just feel my brain switching to that competitive winning mindset. Like where nothing else, everything's really kind of in the back of your head, other than fighting and going to win that fight. And like for instance, if I say right, I'm going down to Wales for 5 days to train, all I'm doing for those 5 days is to train, and I'm trying to soak up as much as I can. And then when I'm home, like I says, it freshens things up. Then I'm excited to go and do Paz a guy again, or go and train and whatever. Like a wee change of routine, because fight camp and training can get monotonous, especially when you do it year after year. So you've got to make things exciting to get the best, like to get the best out of you. But I just can't wait till next Saturday.
No, and it's good. And it's good to see you're very excited about the fight, and you can see that just with your mannerisms as well. And it seems every fight, like as your professional career is kind of developing, you're getting more and more relaxed as the fight
Uh-huh,
comes round, and you seem
uh-huh,
more and more kind of honed in as well. But like a big part about the excitement round about a Reece McEwan fight is the Reece McEwan fan base, and it's
uh-huh,
incredible. And even at the last Cage Warriors, where you unfortunately picked up the injury, like
uh-huh,
the amount of Reece McEwan t-shirts in the
uh-huh.
crowd was phenomenal. Can you just talk to us a wee bit about that and what it's like to have that support?
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I'm walking about Cage Warriors and seeing people with like Reece McEwan t-shirts on, and even in the last fight, my wee sister was on Paddy Pimlet's like vlog. It was a vlog in Cage Warriors, and she's got a Reece McEwan t-shirt on. And again, the amount of people I walked through, this is hilarious. I was like driving I was with Christy. We were driving somewhere in Greenock, and I was like, "That guy's got my t-shirt on." And then she's like, "What?" I was like, "Look over there, he's got my t." And then I'm driving through Tesco, and somebody's like waving out and going, like, "All the best in your next fight." And you're going certain wee places, and people are noticing you and saying things. And like I said, the support, the people that are like coming down to fights, whether it's London, Manchester, or even now in Wales, it's unbelievable. And even when I go to the gym, there's not a single day I don't go to the gym I don't see somebody with a Reece McKinney t-shirt on. Like that's incredible. And I say this all the time. I don't want these words to become empty words. It is incredibly motivating, because seeing the times where I'm struggling, maybe I'll glance over and I'll see somebody wearing my t-shirt. Somebody that believes in me. That's somebody that invests in what I want to do for whatever reason. Um, the people that are coming down to Wales next week, this isn't just like a 1 hour drive up the road. This is I need to book hotels for 2 nights. I need to get flights. I need to dedicate my weekend to that, and I need to pay for a flight ticket, and I need to pay for travel. I need to pay for this. It's probably what, a 500 600 pound weekend. And people do it anyway. They do it knowing that maybe I could pick up an injury. Obviously, I'm not saying, but the last fight that
Yeah,
happened, they're doing it. They're like, no, I don't worry about it. I'm still going to go down to the show and enjoy the show. Like they're investing in me, and they're believing in me, and I feel that energy, and I thrive off that. Like I do, I thrive off the pressure. I thrive off not the pressure. I thrive off the support, because in the days that I struggle and the days that I do well, maybe I listen to a song and it takes me back to something. I put that music up a wee bit in the car, put my foot down a wee bit, and I drive to the gym, and it motivates me and it spurs me on. So you can let that overwhelm you, and buy into the hype. Like, oh, I'm the man, this, I'm that. Or you can use it as fuel and use it as energy and use it as gratitude and be grateful for it. And that's exactly what I do.
And that the thing is as well, it's preparing you for what's to come because ever since I remember seeing you as an amateur, you had this kind of cult following behind you. You had a lot of fans, a lot of people screaming your name, and it's
Yeah.
slowly built and built and built, and it's been phenomenal to see because particularly as a Scottish perspective, like we are so passionate about like football. Like football's our big thing, and that's kind of the same vibe you get when you go to a Reece McEwan fight. Is they're that passionate about you as they are about as people are about football, and they're all wearing the jerseys or the Reece McEwan t-shirts. They're there, and they're kind of always there, sort of idea. And you're starting, and it's just slowly and slowly it's getting bigger. You can see it getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's a great kind of snowball effect for when you eventually go on and you go into the UFC and you start getting what kind of mass stardom where everyone starts to kind of know your name. Like you've had this since you're an amateur, so that like you referred to it a wee bit as pressure there, but a kind of good pressure. Like you'll have that as a that'll benefit you later on in your career as well because you're used to having this kind of core support.
Yeah, no, of course. I remember the first time, and without like just being truthful, without trying to sound like big head or whatever. I remember it was actually the after I defended the belt against Kieran Lachlan, funnily enough, and I went out a night out, and it was I had 4 fights that year, right? I had 4 fights that year, and I went out and I was in like I was out for food after a night out with Christine's. I remember somebody saying like, oh, so many people came up to me being like, "What would your coaches say if you'd have been out? Oh, should you be eating that?" And I'm like, "It's Christmas, like." And I never went out. See, for like the next year, I never went out down Gourock because I was like, "Oh, I don't want." That's overwhelming a wee bit. That was overwhelming. And then Chris is like, "Yeah, no problem at all." And I remember I had this epiphany. I was like, "If I can't handle this, right? I can't handle 5, 6 people coming up to me. How am I going to handle? It might could be hundreds people that don't know you one day because that's what you're aiming for. You're not aiming. You're not. But you're aiming to be the best in the world, right? So you this unfortunately comes with it. So if you can't handle this at this low level, then you can't handle the goals and the position that you want to be in. I said to Christy, I was like, we're going out this Saturday. She's like, are you sure? Like, what about people? I said, no, no, because see these people that they're taking 10 seconds out of their night to come and say, well done to me in my last fight. How can I not be grateful for that? There would be a day in my life where I was wishing I was in this position, and now that I am, I'm almost wishing I'm not. So this year's like 2017. And I think, say, 200 people ask you, how's your training going? Everybody gets so annoyed. Every fighter, like, oh yeah, I'm getting asked that again. But it's the first time that person's asked you.
Yeah.
So why are you treating them different from the first person that asked you, even if they're the 200th time? So I feel like I had training, like I got trained to that very, very, very early on because the support has been so good. I had people in amateur shows. One of my sponsors totally rewired. They were shouting at the UFC soon, UFC soon. After I defended the belt against Charles Liu, and I got asked in an interview, like, your supporters are saying about the UFC, and I says, yeah, because they know the goal and they've believed in it. I've said it and I've been open about it, and they've believed in it and they've been part of it, and that's what the amazing thing is. Is these aren't just people that have just jumped on a bandwagon because I'm doing okay. It's people who have been there since the very beginning, and when stuff like a staph infection happens, they see the amount of people that phone me and be like, "I just want to hear from you. You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like sponsors and friends and reaching out to me, like waiting. Well, I know your phone might be going a bit crazy right now, so I gave it a few days. How's things? Like that really spoke, like it speaks volumes to me that the support isn't just about success; it's about me as a person, and that's what I'm saying. How can I not be grateful for that?
No, absolutely. I completely agree with everything you're saying as well, because people can see that, like what you're doing, they can see that in their everyday life as well. So you're kind of motivating them. So when they see how you deal with adversity, it helps them deal with adversity as well. Like that's the thing. Like I think everyone expects fighters to just have this like smooth sailing career, and
Hmm.
that's the way it's going to be. And that like everything's going to be like a Floyd Mayweather, and you're like, ah, that's not how life goes.
Yeah,
Fighting's a lot like life. Like there's bumps and ups and downs, and you peak here and you drop down here at times, and that's all right for fighters. Like so for
yeah.
people to actually see this and see how fighters are going through, it allows them to kind of channel that into their own life as well and kind of use them as a bit of role models.
No, absolutely. Just try and take inspiration from everyone in good ways and bad ways. That's what I always try and say. That's what I always try and do anyway. Maybe I don't like how someone behaves in a certain situation, and that'll inspire me not to do that. Or I just like how they said things, and I just like to listen and just I don't know, just learn and try and be a better person at life every day. I think a lot of people say that, right? But without being too cheesy, I think a lot of people say that, but they don't actually believe their words. Whereas I try and just practice what I preach and just try and always be a wee bit better in my life every single day, and hope that my gratitude and my work ethic will lead me to where I want to be. And if it doesn't, then I've done everything I could do.
But we'll come on to our kind of next question as well, and we've spoke a wee bit about the UFC today, and I don't know if this has been fully publicised, but you had an opportunity to go into the upcoming season, no, the current season of the Ultimate Fighter, which has been coached by two of the best lightweights in the world, two of the best personalities in the world as well, Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor. Can you just talk us a bit about how that opportunity came about?
Yeah, I had like a missed call from my manager. It was like maybe the second week of January. It was about, and then obviously I was sleeping. It was like 11:30. He's based in America. And then after that missed call, it was on WhatsApp. It was like TUF 31 application, and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Fill this in, and you're in," basically, kind of thing. He's like, "Just so you can put your profile in." And I was said to Christy, "What? Like what?" And I said, "Like with anything, like as a fighter, like I never make decisions myself. I done it once, and I called out Kingsley Crawford, and I demanded that fight, and my coaches were like, 'You're going to never do that for me without us again.'" So I always make sure that they approve everything, and I want their opinions on what this is. So I messaged Dean Riley, I messaged Dean Martin, I messaged Richard Shore and said, "Look, this opportunity is on the table. What's your thoughts?" And collectively, they were like, "No, like it's not the right opportunity for that right now." At the time, I signed a contract to fight Dan Doy, and I just feel that at that time, like to get into the UFC, like I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this just to get to the UFC, sign a contract, and say I'm in. I'm watching Tough now, and I'm seeing guys like it's a. Like I would be fighting guys like Timo Valley, right? Who's an established UFC fighter. His only loss in the UFC was to Jack Shore. I
Yeah.
train with Jack Shore. I know how good Jack Shore is, right? Jack Shore would finish me in about a minute, and I've got no shame in saying that. Um, so that's the kind of competition that I'm facing up against. I didn't know that at the time, but in hindsight, that just shows me that that was the right decision to make because you're fighting UFC veterans that are established in the UFC and should be in the UFC, but for whatever reason they're not. Anyway, at the time, it was like, look, it's not the right time for that. You're not doing it just to get that UFC contract, and ideally going through the Ultimate Fighter probably isn't the best route. I mean, you'd have to fight what 3 times just to get that UFC contract.
Yeah.
And plus, also from a performance point of view, it would be at 135, and I could make 135 every 4 weeks. I could. I'm not a big weight cutter, and I'm probably below average in terms of like the numbers of bantamweights. To be honest, I never go into fight week over the recommended like 10%. I never go into the 24-hour period not over the 5%. So I could make the weight every 4 weeks, but I just feel my performance would be hindered. And then from my shot in the UFC, I'm away from all my coaches and
Yeah.
I'm having to be in Vegas with surrounded by X amount of other fighters for 8 weeks or whatever it is. And again, we just felt that like we've got a contract with Cage Warriors for 5 fights, and there's a reason we've got those 5 fights. We had the 5 fight plan to get to the UFC, get that belt, can keep building our momentum with Cage Warriors, keep fighting under the Europe's premier MMA promotion. And as a team, we felt that Cage Warriors is the place for me right now, and that's why I'm still fighting for them.
Completely agree with everything you're saying there, and I find it so refreshing, like that kind of attitude as well. And we've seen that pay off in the past. We've seen it with the likes of Paddy Pimblett. Like he knocked the UFC back, and look where he is now. And I think it shows the kind of people that you have round about you and how they have your best interests at heart. Because
Uh-huh.
you could have went into the Ultimate Fighter and you could have done exceptionally well, and
Yeah,
then
no,
the
no,
U,
of course.
the
I might have
UFC.
been the only guy getting a win in Team McGregor.
I think it's also very important to kind of do that apprenticeship as well, like do the kind of the Cage Warriors and kind of go through everything you need to go through in Cage Warriors, like get all the experience and these shows like Cage Warriors, because the guys that are fighting in Cage Warriors, a lot of them are UFC caliber. Like
Yeah,
we've seen guys like
yeah.
Mason Jones has dropped back into Cage Warriors. You're seeing George Hardwick, who's going into doing a White Contender series. So the guys in Cage Warriors are very high level, but it's not get the same kind of exposure. It's not get the same kind of pressure as well. So just kind of what getting yourself
Mhm.
used to that and kind of building up slowly. I think personally is a kind of great idea as well, and just kind of honouring that commitment.
And also, like, when I have spoke to a few people about it, and they're like, "But what happens if you lose your next fight?" I'm like, "Well, that just reassures me that I wasn't ready for that shot in the UFC." And that's like that came from we talk about going to show mixed martial arts, but that's what Richard said to me about Jack. A lot of people said that him fighting Scott Malone was a risky fight, and he said,
Yeah,
"Well, if he loses, then he shouldn't be in the UFC then." And that's the same with me. If I go and pick up a loss on my path, then I'm not ready for that next move. Then, and I do feel that the caliber of opponents that I'll be fighting in Cage Warriors, they are UFC level because the route through Europe to the UFC is so hard. I mean, I know we're all talking about it, but look at George Hardwick. I know he probably won't care, but he could go into the UFC and string 3, 4 wins together. He doesn't need that contender series, but I hope he shines and I hope he performs because he deserves that shot more than anyone. But like his last three opponents, they're UFC level opponents.
and
Paul Hughes and Vicenic, they're UFC level guys.
the guy he's
Like,
fighting is he not the champion of Brave? Is
do you know what I mean? Well, and look at what do you call him? Who's fighting Josh Emmett? Is it Josh Emmett? Uh, Taporia?
Leah Taporia, right?
You know what I mean? He's like one, 2 fights off. And
Yeah,
like, well, I'm going to refer him again, but like Jack Shore, a few wins in the UFC, and then you've got a ranking. Like
yeah.
Brett Jones came from Cage Warriors, and then you're in the world rankings. You know what I mean? So, Cage Warriors is the way to the UFC, and if you win your fights and fulfill your contract and do your apprenticeship, as you say, you will do well in the UFC. If you rush that decision, you'll be back. You'll be back wishing you never done that.
And I'm trying to pick my words carefully here because I don't want it to sound like I'm shitting on the whole kind of tough program because I'm not. But when you're going into potentially the biggest opportunity of your life, do you want people round about you who potentially don't care if you win or lose? Like it doesn't really make a
Oh
huge
well,
difference
if I'm
to
in
your
that tough
body's
house, I'm
life.
not there. I'm not there to make friends.
Yeah,
They're the enemy. Like everybody in that house is the enemy. All of a
yeah,
sudden, it's not like I'm going to a gym. If I'm entering that house, it's not kill or be killed, but it's literally like you're in my way. Like I'm
yeah,
not here to be. See when people, I've got my friends, I've got my teammates. If you're not part of my team, then you're against me. If you're in my division and you're not part of my team, then you're against me. And
yeah,
that's the competitive part of me talking. Like I don't need to be your friend. I've got enough friends. I've got enough teammates. I'm on this path to win. And if we fight, we might fight again. So you need to be careful who you're picking. Like not doing this. I'm not going to Cage Warriors and being like, I not Cage Warriors. I'm not going to a fight show and being like, who can I make friends with and who can I want the show to work. See on Saturday
yeah,
night, I'm there to fight. I'm there to warm up, fight, win, and then go in my post fight interview and call for a title and call for the best fights. That's what I'm there to do. I'm not there to like be flabbergasted by who I'm walking by. Oh my goodness, there's Tom Aspinall. Like, no, I don't care. I'm here for my fight tonight, right? And that's the way I'll be like in the UFC, when that time comes. So, like, if I'm in the tough house, I don't need to be. I'd probably isolate myself. I would isolate myself away from everyone else, because they're the enemy, as I say. Imagine sharing a room with somebody and then fighting them a few days later. You'd be like that, and then they beat you, and then you have to pure lie next to them. Aye, very good.
no, that's a good that is a good point. But we'll kind of take a wee sidestep for fighting now, Reece, and just a kind of quick question: what's your favourite kind of downtime when you're not in fight camp?
That very boring. I just see Sunday's my day away from the gym. I don't go near the gym, and it's time I spend with Christy. So I'll whatever she wants to do, I'm all for it. So favorite kind of downtime is just chilling out, being away from the gym, spending some time with her that she absolutely deserves because without sounding too cheesy. She won't even watch this interview, right? But I'll screen record this and then I'll send it to her. So make sure that she hears it. But no, she gives up so much for me to live the life that I do. Every night, basically, like she's coming in from work, and I go to training, and then I'm in at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and she's like just ready for her bed, but she's just kind of staying up just so she can have a chat with me. She does that every night, and like I said, she doesn't have to, and she makes so many sacrifices for my life. So when I'm not in the gym and I'm away from it, it's my time to give back to her, and that's kind of my favourite way to spend outside the gym.
That's a much nicer answer than I was expecting. I was expecting going and play five-a-side with your pals, but that was quite
No,
heartwarming.
not five. Besides, obviously, I've got my friends, I've got my family stuff, but like I said, I take away so much time from Christy, and I'd be completely lost or probably gone if it wasn't for her. So, yeah, when I'm not in the gym, I'm spending time with her and getting dragged around shops and whatnot.
It's like the kind of age-old saying behind every good man's a good woman as well, and
Yeah,
it's
when I'm down and out, she picks me up. Like she honestly is there. Like lately when I was pulling out the fight, she was there right next to me when I was phoning everybody. If people were phoning me, she was like, I know it sounds silly, but she was going into shops. She was like, I don't want you to bump into anybody. I want you to just focus on yourself. And again, that was on her time off in March. She came down to Manchester with me, made an incredible weekend of it. And then when I'm high as a kite, I'm wanting about my top off because I'm cutting weight, and she's like, "Get a top on." Who do you think you are? She keeps me grounded. She's incredible. So, I'll be screen recording this, so and sending it to her.
no, and quite right. And once you get there, and once you get to the UFC, and you've done everything you need to do in the UFC, and you've went on and made your millions, I'm sure she'll be very she'll be very happy.
Yeah, I won't be making my millions. I'll be making her millions. That's my
Yeah,
promise to her. She's like I said, she's given up so much for me, and I'd be lost without her. So she's my motivation now.
yeah, no,
There we
absolutely.
go. And now I'm going to start crying.
You're going to get
Cheers
me
for
going in
that.
a minute, Jesus Christ. Just the last question
Nah.
before we wrap it up. So you're scheduled to fight Leonardo de Oliveira next week at Cage Warriors Cardiff. How do you see that fight going? Because Leonardo's a very seasoned grappler.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's a tough guy. Going to be tough guy to put away. He's going to be durable. He's going to be in my face, calling me on, like, "Come on, let's go!" Going for scissor knees and flying knees, and he's going to be a good grappler on the ground. So, I said round two finish for me.
Yeah,
Round
that's
two finish. I don't see myself putting him away in the first. I see finding him out, feeling that style out, picking him apart, and then taking over round two. I see myself finishing at round two, but honestly, I'm prepared for 3 rounds here because his last fight was against Fedine, the former flyweight Cage Warriors World Champion, and he struggled to put him away. So I know he's going to be tough. He's going to be coming for a war. That's what he was coming
yeah,
for. I ain't giving him a war. That's a fact. I'll be putting a war in him. He's not. I'm not. It's not a two-way street here. One-way traffic. So round two. I'll put my way. I want a ground and pound finish, but I'm not going to chase it. I'm just going to be free in there. I'm going to feel out the fight, and I'm going to let my skills take over. I see so many shots to finish him away, but like I said, I'm going to just go in there, perform to my best of my ability, break him down. And round one, he's going to be so strong. He's going to be so athletic. He's going to be so up for it. Don't know if he'll still have that round two. I don't know, and I don't see him going by round two. But if he's there for round three, then we'll see if you're still the same.
yeah. No, absolutely, and we wish you all the best in the next fight, and we can't wait to see you go out there and put on a show.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much.
No problem. Before we wrap up, is there MD you want to shout out? You've already shouted out your missus, you've shouted out the coaches. Do you have any sponsors, your coffee brand, anything like that you want to shout out?
Yeah, so yeah, obviously all my sponsors for the contributions in this fight, I always go to like single them out. But if you go onto my website, reecemcEwan.com, you'll find that they've got their own wee bit on my website, and then you can go and access them. You can get a wee bit of information about them. You can go on their social medias, their websites, and see what they are for them. Obviously, my sponsors, my training partners, my family, my friends, everybody who supports me, yourself, people who are watching.